Roy Moore is now the monstrous candidate for the Republicans in Alabama. He won in a primary against the so-called establishment candidate, Luther Strange, who's already plenty disastrously right-wing enough, but Roy Moore is off the chart. And he's been kicked off the Alabama Supreme Court in the past because he does not understand that this is not Saudi Arabia. We are not a theocracy. We are not ruled by your religion. We're not ruled by your sect, your particular strain of Christianity. We're not ruled by that. We're ruled by a constitution. He's like, what? What's a constitution? I don't like constitution. I like Bible. And the good Republican voters of Alabama, who by the way recently, about a quarter of them said that whites and blacks should not be allowed to marry. That was in a primary polling done in 2012. So get a sense of Republican voters in Alabama. They're like, oh, Roy Moore doesn't believe in the US Constitution, doesn't believe in separation of church and state, that we shall not establish a religion just like it says in the Constitution. Yay, Roy Moore, who cares about the US? Mullah Moore, give us more. So that's Roy Moore. I bring you his story today because he's about to say something unbelievable. Okay, so now, to be fair, this is from an interview from last year. This is after he got kicked off the Alabama Supreme Court, where he was the Chief Justice, and he went on a podcast called Here I Stand, run by a conservative Christian Emergency League. I didn't know there was an emergency for Christians in America. I thought they were the overwhelming majority, but apparently they're in an emergency. Why? Because of the gays are coming, the gays, oh, it's an emergency. What if we're actually attracted to them? So here's Roy Moore on that podcast.
I was simply pointing out in 1857, the United States Supreme Court did rule that black people were property. And of course that contradicted the Constitution, and it took a civil war to overturn it. But this ruling in Obergefell is even worse in a sense, because it forces not only people to recognize marriage other than as the institution ordained of God and recognized by nearly every state in the Union, it says that you now must do away with the definition of marriage and make it between two persons of the same gender, or leading on, as one of the dissenting justices said, to polygamy, to multi-married partner marriages. We've got to go back and recognize that what they did in Obergefell was not only to take and create a right that does not exist under the Constitution, but then to mandate that that right compels Christians to give up their religious freedom and liberty.
So he's talking about two cases there, and I want to be very clear. One that he keeps referring to is Obergefell, and that is where the Supreme Court recently decided that yes, gay Americans have the same rights as straight Americans. And Roy Moore is shocked and chagrined. Why can't we discriminate? Why can't we legislate hate? Why do we have to treat all Americans as equal? He doesn't like that because he thinks, even though it says that everybody should be equal under the law in our Constitution, that is super, super clear. I don't want them to be equal. My interpretation of my strand of my Bible says that I should hate the gays. Why doesn't the Supreme Court let me hate the gays? So he says that decision is worse than Dred Scott. In Dred Scott, the Supreme Court ruled that black people were not human. He says, because you won't let us discriminate against gays, that is worse than saying that blacks are not human. Wow. Okay, that's who this guy is. So let me give you the background on why he got kicked off the court in the first place, and then he's not done. And then he's gonna bring in the Holocaust. Oh, literally for God's sake. All right, the background is, as Huffington Post explains here, Moore, who in 2015 was Alabama's Chief Justice, ordered the state judges to defy the Supreme Court ruling in Obergefell versus Hodges that allowed gay marriage, and he continued to enforce Alabama's ban on same-sex marriage. The stance ultimately led to Moore's removal from the Alabama Supreme Court. Well, they were forced to remove him because he said, I refuse to uphold the Constitution. I refuse to uphold the Supreme Court rulings. Well, that's our system of government. That's the rule of law. He's like, I don't care, my Bible's better than the Supreme Court. My Bible's better than your Constitution. All right, then go live in the Vatican or Saudi Arabia or Iran. Go live in a theocracy. But that's not what we do here. And then he went and said, at a different time. Could I do this, meaning follow this law saying that gay people are actually equal to straight people? If I were in Nuremberg, say that I was following the orders of the highest authority to kill Jews, could I say that I was ordered to do so? When a reporter reminded more than that the Nuremberg trials were about killing humans, not gay marriage, Moore responded, is there a difference? Yes, there's a giant difference. Okay, so look, we can be outraged that Moore doesn't think, oh my God, the Holocaust. I mean, I'm not sometimes people make me bake a cake for gays. I guess that's the same thing as murdering 6 million Jews. Oh, the flippancy of that is unreal. And yeah, blacks are not human. Who cares? They made me bake a cake. It's a cake. They made me bake it. They said the gay people are the same as straight people. That's the same as saying blacks are not human. Okay, that's one part of it. The other part of it is, hey, Roy Moore, could you please get the fuck out of our bedrooms? What are you doing there? I thought you were for small government. Bullshit. No, Roy Moore is for giant government. Roy Moore's a pervert who wants to be in your bedroom and go, no, not that position. No, not with him. Put that in there. Okay, go ahead and go, oh yeah, now give it to her. Okay, Roy Moore, I don't want your big government. I don't want you sneaking into our bedrooms like a pervert when you're a senator and watching over our sex acts. See, who do you love? I don't want you to love that person. Get the fuck out of our lives. You're not a conservative, you're not a libertarian, you're certainly not an American. You might have, out of luck, been born in the right place at the right time, but you don't believe in this country. You want to be a mullah. You are the American Taliban. And you're also deeply obsessed with our sex lives. Why do you care if someone loves someone else? Why do you want to prevent that love? Because you're a terrible, terrible human being. Why do you not focus on the righteous part of your religion? Why do you not focus on the Sermon on the Mount? Why are you not obsessed with serving the poor, the needy? Why are you obsessed instead with the hateful part of your religion? Because you want to control our lives. And so you can say all these things, and if people like some, apparently a lot of Republicans in Alabama love it. They're like, oh, I love big government. And I want to get inside everybody's bedrooms and control everything they do. You can do that, and I'm obviously going to vehemently disagree with you. And yes, I'm going to call you un-American, that's what you are. If you voted for Roy Moore and you know all this stuff, yes, you are deeply un-American. You should move to a different country and get the fuck out of here because you don't believe in our Constitution. But on top of that, what you are definitely not ever allowed to say again is that you are not for big government because you were for monstrously large government. One more time, get the fuck out of our bedrooms, Young Turks. If you like this clip of the Young Turks, you know there's a whole live 2-hour show, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern every day, and you can download it or stream it and watch it without ads if you become a member. tytnetwork.com/join.